Hello everyone, Legionnaires here, and I have a new video for you today about Koumei. This new Warframe launched in Koumei in the 5 Fates, and before I got her, I also watched a few videos just to see, what she's all about, and I saw people either being happy with her as a weapons platform or disappointed with her as a caster, right? And also, I did see some fair criticism that even as a weapons platform, there are just better weapon platforms frames, so why play this one if her niche is already done better elsewhere? That's what I want to correct today. With this video, I want to show you what Koumei's actual niche is, and I believe she is the best at it, even if it doesn't translate to what's best for Warframe players right now. Like, you don't have the highest PPM and stuff like that, but you do have a very fun and unique playstyle that varies up moment to moment. I don't think there's too many frames like that in the game, honestly. Most frames you just build for a certain playstyle, and then you spend, you can go into an 8-hour survival, but each minute will look identical, right? It's not really the case with Koumei. It might look identical if you don't know what's actually happening, but I'll try to explain it as it is happening. So, I am basing this build around her first ability, the Threads of Fate. These threads apply a status effect dependent on the color, right? So I cannot zoom into it because it disappears, but this is heat, right? This is, I don't know, actually, probably toxin or gas, right? Whoa, it activated without me doing anything. I actually didn't know that survival can do that. I was just talking here, goddammit. Okay, I guess we have no choice but to do a live showcase. All right, no problem. So you have these threads, and then you can use something like Cold Horizon or any other grouping ability, but Cold Horizon is currently the best one to get more damage out of it by pulling enemies through the threads so that they get afflicted by more status and therefore receive more damage. And then you also shoot them. But if it doesn't roll the triple sixes, it's not going to deal that much damage, so you are better off using your weapons, right? So you're just going to use this as mostly like CC and some extra condition overload effects, right? So you have a few extra statuses, that's cool. Even though it says it applies a random status, usually the way the threads are lined up, most enemies will get like 2 or even 3. But that's random as well, it's just another randomness to it. And then once you get that triple six, which I cannot guarantee when it will happen, right? It's RNG, so I'm just gonna say it, and you're gonna have to trust me on this. But when you get the triple RNG, there we go. Talk of the devil. You see, it's applying one of each, and this deals tremendous damage. So when this happens, you can just for a second play just with this, right? Until the duration runs out. You could build for higher duration than I have as well, to enjoy this for longer. But for me, the beauty of this is that it's a hybrid playstyle, right? For 10 seconds, when I get the triple sixes, I'm playing a caster. Most of the other time, I'm playing a weapons platform. It's not the best at either of those, but it works. Both of those playstyles actually work in her case, and they complement each other well. So um, that's all I wanted to showcase, really. It's just fun. It's just plain old fun. So if that isn't enough for you, well, I understand. But it is enough for me, and I don't feel like people were giving her due. So I wanted to correct that. Yeah, it's very fun. And of course, the better weapons you give it, the more fun it is. So I'm using the Tenet Exec here right now because it's a decent weapon, but it's not, it's not an Incarnon. It's now Okina Prime, which is released and is also amazing, right? And if you do give it Okina Prime or even like Zoris or something like a better melee influence weapon, or something that has a good interaction, right? Like I can't think of anything right now, but many of the Incarnon weapons, right? Then you can get a lot more out of it. But oh, my Omamori ran out. I do have a point about Omamori as well that I didn't get to make because the mission started before I wanted it to, really. And I'm gonna talk about that in a second because there are some misconceptions about it as well that I would like to clear up. Maybe not necessarily misconceptions, but the ability isn't 50% block chance. You know what? Let me just get the text on the screen and I can talk about it as I play. It's not just 50% block chance. It's 50% per charm. At least that's what the actual description says. There could be something going on behind the scenes that makes the math different, right? They could be they could not be independent of each other. It could be weighted. There could be an entropy system, right? Like if you've blocked someone in the past, it reduces your block chance, stuff like that. If you play Path of Exile, you'll know that Evasion has an entropy system where you're guaranteed to get hit eventually. So it might have something like that. I don't think it does just because it doesn't need it, right? With the limitation on the cooldown, it already has enough of a downside. So I would like to think it doesn't have another downside, but of course I cannot guarantee that. So, hello, Mania. Was Mania frozen? Can you freeze these? What? All right. So it's taking me a while to bring down Vor here, because yeah, I don't have those amazing weapons. If I had Okina Prime, he would be dead already. But I wanted to showcase this with just decent weapons. As you can see, the kills per minute are pretty low. Um, I was failing air support. I still kind of am, right? I would have to activate some air support bubbles, modules, whatever. But it works. Is the main part, right? It works. And in other game modes like defense, you'll be even better. But those are not really the main farming points right now, right? So I understand if you think that this frame is underpowered or that she deserves buffs. I would even agree. I just wanted to give her her due. That's it. I just want to show you this playstyle where you can really play around with the idea of being a Gish character, right? Not quite a caster, not quite a weapons platform. I'll show you the build and I'll show you um, the actual fort ability that I have subsumed off. So the build is here: growing power, prime sure-footed, transient fortitude, prime continuity, adaptation. This is kind of a flex spot. There's a few different ways to work around Omamori. Adaptation is the lazy choice. You could go for health and armor. You could go for, well, not really on Koumei, but you could slap it on Zaku. I'm really interested in seeing how that interacts, if evasion has priority or if Omamori has priority. If evasion has priority, then Omamori would be amazing on Zaku. It would make Zaku immortal. But if it's not, then we'll see. But on actual Koumei, you can go for, as I said, health tanking, or you can also go for catalyzing shields and using shield gating, or recharge speed, any of those. So this is a flex spot. Equilibrium, I'm using because I also have a Diriga setup with Sid Deconstruct. I was running it with no Sentinel weapon because I was in the Simulacrum, so actually wasn't doing anything, but usually I have it set up to proc Radiation, Heat, Viral, and whatever IPS if it procs that. I don't even know if it works with IPS, to be honest. Radiation is a nice defensive tool here, but you can also, as you can see in my other setups, I have Terminal Velocity instead. That is a better option for KPM because your kills per minute, will be lower if you have enemies, 2 rooms over fighting each other instead of coming to you. But be that as it may, it is a nice defensive tool. So if you have a grouping ability, it kind of makes sense to use it. Then, because I have Sid Deconstruct, I have Health Orbs dropping, which is why I use Equilibrium. Coal recharge, I'm going to talk about Coal Horizon in a second, more in detail, but yeah, that's there for that. Intensify, Stretch, and Augur Reach. I do think you need the range for her Kumihimo, and of course in this specific build for Cold Horizon as well. Now, I want to first talk about her fourth ability and why I'm not using it. Most people would probably look at this and think that this is Koumei's strongest ability, and they'd be right to some extent. It does apply more status than the first ability, and even on a quote-unquote bad roll, it's still usable. But usable isn't really good enough for me, right? Like, usable in Warframe these days is outclassed very, very fast. So to me, this is just like a worse Dante, right? It's the worst version of Dante's fourth. Just kill enemies in front of you. How many abilities like that are in the game, right? A million. So it's just a worse version of those. It's better than like Caliban's laser, but it doesn't have an armor strip, so eh, you know. And it doesn't have the unique interaction that Kumihimo has, where enemies can still walk through it and get damaged again, right? This isn't a field hazard, this is a effect on the enemy. So it just puts the enemies up into puppets and they are stunned. Sure, that's great CC, but you don't really need the CC because Kumihimo already CCs enough for you. You're gonna have it enough that there will be some enemies that are procced with radiation. If you have a sentinel proccing radiation, that's not even necessary, but even just on the Kumihimo alone, just one enemy procced with radiation turns off aggro off of everyone that can see them, right? Everyone will go for them instead of you. So that's already CC. Plus, a lot of the actual status effects have some sort of stagger. Heat has a stagger, electricity has a stagger. Cold slows down, right? So there's plenty of CC just in this ability. So I don't really feel the need for Bunraku. It's slower also, so in the time it takes you to cast Bunraku, you can cast both Kumihimo and Cold Horizon. So I just don't see a reason for Bunraku, right? I'm gonna get the screen of the text of the screen, just so you can see clearly the descriptions, but I think that you should be able to get what I'm talking about just off of the description that I'm reading out. So Omamori, we went already over the stacking block chance, or stacking, like stacking 50% chance, 50% chance, another 50% chance is closer to like 75, then another is closer to like what, 82 point something something, and then 91 something something, I think. I'm not a mathematician. These numbers could be wrong. What I know is there is a formula you can use to calculate it if you want to know for sure. Let me put it on the screen again. 1 minus 0.5 times number of charms is your effective block chance. There could be, again, something in the code that presents another element to this, like entropy, or maybe even just the calculation itself. Maybe the 50% chance to block is not independent of each other, and there's like a hidden stacking mechanic. Maybe each extra charm only adds 5% block chance or something, right? It would probably tell us if it did that, but we don't know, right? But going off of how it says it works, it should be 96% effective block chance at 5 charms, which is more than enough to recast it. But again, it's not enough of its on its own as a defensive mechanic. Omikuji, yeah, this is the ability that I would like to see get buffed the most. Just remove the cooldown. There is no reason for the cooldown, honestly. Or give us some way to scale the cooldown, right? Like make it like Lavos, where one of her abilities scales the cooldowns of the others. It's just, I don't know. I don't like this one, but it still does something. Unlike Bunraku, which to me is just redundant, this isn't redundant. It's just not super strong. But sometimes you'll get a good decree and you'll be happy and you'll have a shot of, not adrenaline, what's the feel good chemical, right? And then we already talked enough about Kumihimo. So I put Cold Horizon on her instead of her fourth to pull enemies through the threads. It's pretty easy to understand, but there is one more point to this, and that is Cold Horizon has a new augment called Recharge. You can read all of that text, or you can just understand that if you put this augment on, Cold Horizon will suddenly deal a lot of damage. It's not to the point where it kills enemies on its own. It can kill trash mobs, and definitely on lower levels of Steel Path it can. But once you get to high enough levels and heavier units and Eximus units or whatever, it's not going to be killing on its own. That's why it's very well paired with Kumihimo, where you are getting electricity and other random status effects, which can include gas as well, and then putting them all into Cold Horizon to get damaged in one spot and die, right? So that's how the Kumihimo and Cold Horizon combo, it can clear even as a pure caster, right? It's not going to be better than other pure casters. That's the whole point of this video, to show you that this is not a pure caster. But if you want to play this build as a pure caster, you can, right? You definitely can. You can just spam Kumihimo, or not spam, cast Kumihimo once if you have a decent enough roll, like 20 plus, then just spam Cold Horizon from one side to the other, right? And just ragdoll the enemies between them, getting a ton of status effects. Yeah, that's the build. And Mold Augmented and Arcane Blessing, these are the one of the easiest arcanes to get. I was playing around with different ones as well. I was trying out Arcane Energize, Arcane Reaper, Arcane Ice Storm is probably what I'm going to put in instead of Mold Augmented once I have or not once I have it, but I'm going to switch back to the Okina Prime Incarnon, and that can keep Arcane Ice Storm up. But you might not have that, or you might not use Okina Prime or Okina Incarnon. So Mold Augmented it is. And Arcane Blessing is technically replaceable. You don't necessarily need this, especially if you don't have, again, just like Equilibrium, if you don't have a companion that supplies you with health orbs, then Arcane Blessing is less effective. So you could put in something else, again, like Arcane Reaper, Arcane Energize, Arcane Ice Storm. Arcane Steadfast might be decent as well. Probably not Mold Efficiency, not sure. You could use any of your favorite arcanes. But yeah, I'm using Arcane Blessing. And as far as the strength goes, because she could go for armor and health scaling as well, you could use the full Umbral set, right? You could use Umbral Fiber, Vitality, and Intensify instead of Adaptation, Intensify, and I'm not sure what the third mod I would get rid of. Maybe Cola Recharge, maybe, because it still works without it. I tried the build with Air Burst, which doesn't give that much damage in comparison, and it still worked. So you could try getting rid of Coil Recharge. Still keep Cold Horizon as it is superior to Air Burst, but you could get rid of that and run the full Umbral set if you want to put Umbral Forma into Koumei. I'm not going to do that. I don't have any at the moment. Maybe by the time her Prime comes out, we'll see. So yeah, that's it. Overall, I am happy with Koumei. I do think she deserves some buffs. I don't think she's stupid, broken OP or anything. I think that some of her abilities could do with tuning down the number of sixes you need, maybe from 3 sixes to 2 sixes, or maybe just like a specific dice score. Let's say you have to roll over like 23, right? Instead of it being specifically 3 sixes. Because it doesn't happen often enough. And even though I like this play style, I would still like it to be more like 50-50, where sometimes I'm a caster, sometimes I'm shooting my guns, right? I would still like it to be a bit more 50-50. Right now it's more like most of the time using weapons, and then you get a short period of casting. It's still cool, but I do think she deserves buffs. However, even if she doesn't get any buffs, I think she's worth getting. She's super early. You can get her, very early on the star chart, and she is a lot of fun to play. She provides a unique playstyle, which to me at this point, after like, oh my god, 1,700 hours in Warframe, um, I am more interested in unique playstyles than strong ones. So that's why I made this video. Hope that got you interested in Koumei. Hope you're gonna give her a chance and check her out, play around with her, and see if you like this kind of Gish play style that I'm talking about here. Or maybe it's not the thing for you, and you can go back to whatever favorite Warframe you have. I'm sure that in a few days I will be back to playing Protea myself, but for the time being, Koumei is the new hotness. So give her give her a chance, take her out for a spin, and try her unique playstyle. All right, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.